Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so we got about 45 minutes before the big game. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers are going to be matching up for the game of the season, if you ask me. And of course, that could change as soon as the playoffs start. But as of right now, this is the biggest game anybody has to play. And I'm going to just let you guys know that I'm a little nervous based on how the Lakers played last night. Some of the tendencies we showed last night, if you guys follow me, you know I wasn't happy. I went on one of my epic rants after a win where I was livid and you couldn't tell I won. And I proceeded to go through the same thing this morning as I was telling you guys about the Clipper game. I just know better than to think that the Los Angeles Lakers, after last night's performance, are going to just turn around and be stellar. More than likely, we're going to see remnants of what we saw last night. Now, the good thing is, in fact, the great thing is, we're getting Bamba back tonight. He is probable. D'Angelo Russell is also probable, so that should mask many problems. Many problems. The biggest one was us not being long enough to guard certain talents. That's over with. Needing that center should be over with so long as he can stay back. I would have loved for our team to pick up another center just in case. But the most important thing is that he be in place to fill his very own position, which is the center on this team. Now, what does this mean for Wenyen Gabriel? What does this mean for Rui Hachimura? What does this mean for some of the rotations that we have going on right now? That is always a concern when we're talking about Darvin Ham. What are we going to do with the rotations? How is he going to use the guys that are coming back? Is that going to throw things off? I think bringing guys back, particularly the center position, could be tricky because that does pull Wenyen off the floor to a degree. And we do, in my humble opinion, probably serve ourselves best for having him in regular rotation for his offensive rebound and defensive prowess and putback ability. But as long as we have him to go to when we need to go to him, that's always a good thing. No different than anybody else. Lonnie Walker, Max Christie, just the same. So this is a situation where we just gotta go through whatever it is that we're gonna go through in regards to the continuity adjustment. But the good thing about it is we have the play-in tournament sewed up, if nothing else. So if we have trouble trying to get him back into this thing, or if we have trouble with anything in regards to these next 3 games, at least we know the postseason is something that we will be a part of to some degree. Nothing can go wrong in regards to us being a part of the play-in tournament whatsoever. So that we know is good. It gives us somewhat of a cushion in regards to what can happen over the next 3 games. So that helps, especially given the fact that 2 of these 3 games are real tough opponents in the Clippers, Suns, and of course the Jazz we just barely beat last night. So yeah, I'm looking at this matchup and I'm saying we match up very well against the Clippers now that we picked up Rui Hachimura and Vanderbilt. The combination of Anthony Davis and Bamba and all those guys give us a different look. Troy Brown, players like that should ultimately come together to give us the length that we've never had going up against this Clipper team. So as we go into this matchup, we definitely understand that if we're going to face this Clippers, we're going to have to put those type of players on the floor and not hesitate. Not necessarily lean on our guards against the Clippers. The Clippers have forwards. The Clippers have tons of players that are going to be coming at us with size and weight. Think about guys like Russell Westbrook, Terrence Mann, Bones Highland. These are big guards, very big guards. So we're going to have to leave size on the floor. Now, I didn't hear anything about Austin Reeves not being probable or anything like that. He seems like he's going to be good to go. So that's encouraging given the fact that he had the ankle, whatever it was, last night. We'll see how he goes, see how he feels. Also, Bron and AD are questionable for this matchup, per usual as it pertains to a back-to-back, but I don't have any doubt that they will be available. I just don't. That's me talking, but that's me with a whole lot of certainty. They're not missing this particular matchup. That's not happening. If they're able to go, they will be going. Bamba and D'Lo are going. Bron and AD will go. They ain't gonna even be able to sit on the sidelines in this matchup. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be hard for them boys to sit on the sideline during this one. This ain't the Houston Rockets game 2 weeks ago. This ain't any of that. This is the Lakers and the Clippers. This is the type of matchup that both of their respective camps will want them to be a part of this game. I'm telling you, this is one of them ones. This is one of those ones. Because there's no guarantee the Lakers will see the Clippers in the playoffs. We've never seen the Clippers in the playoffs. This is the closest thing to the Clippers in a playoff game that the Lakers have ever had. When you consider the market, you consider the teams trying to get to a certain point where they're good enough, both of them at the same time. I mean, how many times have we seen that? Besides pandemic, probably never. So this is the closest thing to a Laker-Clipper playoff matchup that the NBA's seen. Bron and Anthony Davis won't miss it. That's my humble opinion. And 45 minutes from now, I'm pretty sure we're going to see that come to pass. Unless something drastic happens with the doctors telling AD particularly he can't go. Other than that, I expect to see them both. What is there to say in regards to this matchup tonight other than what's already been said? I don't know that there's anything, man. We just got to respect the team that we're going up against right now. I'm excited about bringing all those guys back, so the continuity rotation concerns are really my major concerns. How do we incorporate our entire roster back into place if we are in fact 100% healthy, which it looks like we are tonight, if everybody's able to go. Now 100% healthy is skewed by the fact that these guys are banged up and nobody's 100% healthy. The fact of the matter is we will have everyone available. So how do we use our full team? What does that actually look like? Is there a slight chance that we're not better for some strange reason? I don't think that, but we'll just have to see it. It'll have to be seen. So now we see what happens with Beasley, honestly. Because when you bring another player back on top of everything we have, you got to see how Darvin's going to rotate the situation. Now, for me, obviously, there are easier ways in my mind that we can do this. There are players that I have no problem pushing down the lineup and pushing other guys up and rotating them accordingly, because I do think some of the guys that we don't use would be best using some of the rotations that we find ourselves having all the time. We could put Max in some of these lineups. We could push Troy to the 2 and put, Devon Reed in some of these rotations that ultimately Malik Beasley is in, not necessarily contributing much within. I just see too many different options. And I'd love for the Lakers to try to experiment with some of those, if possible. But at the end of the day, we're rolling with what our coach is going to do for us. So now we wait to see. My thing is the defensive end. I don't think we've respected the perimeter very well this season. I think we've played off of people. And to a degree, I definitely agree. You do play off of people. If they can't shoot, you definitely give them some space. But the way that we've done it has been somewhat exaggerated and, dare I say, disrespectful. And when you leave players too open, what you're doing is daring them to hit shots without any defense. In this league, professionals, you just don't really want to do that with at all. Even guys that can't shoot, you don't want to play with in this league. And I just feel like Darvin Ham toys with that in some unnecessary ways. I also think we toy with rolling the ball on inbounds a little too much. I don't have a problem with doing it when you're trying to position yourself to conserve some of the clock. You don't want to inbound the ball because you want to, keep the clock from turning on. But what you don't want to do is give the team an opportunity for a loose ball situation just because you have it in your mind that the clock ain't going to stop and that you can control it and that you can have Anthony Davis and LeBron James or God knows who else stand in front of the rolled ball as you're rolling it and waiting and daring somebody to touch it. At the end of the day, somebody's going to be quick enough to touch it, just like we did with Randy and Gabriel, and it just puts yourself in a position for bad things to happen. Things don't have to happen if you don't do that. I prefer an NBA player having live action dribble as we're taking the ball down the court. I trust their ball handling more so than I trust the ball being loose without the clock starting and somebody being fast enough to get to it. It's just, you're asking for trouble. We do it too much, and it's a philosophy thing that I also don't agree with. So it's just a lot of stuff that we do. I'm like, man, are you sure about this, Darvin? Some of this stuff, playing off of three-point shooters and repeatedly letting the same guy hit shots. Like, if you see a guy hit 2 threes, maybe on that third attempt, it's not as good an idea to play off of him for 20 feet. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a good idea to maybe put a man on it or at least give him a different look. So it's stuff like that I just think ultimately I have enough evidence to be pessimistic. When you see enough of this stuff throughout the season, you see clock management faux pas all year long, guys going down the stretch of basketball games with close minutes and not doing the right thing. It's just like, you think that's going to rear its ugly head. in the playoffs, and that's what I'm worried about tonight. Are we going to have clock management issues? Are we going to be pedestrian with the basketball against a very solid defensive team? Are we going to be, you know, lackadaisical on the boards, even though that's not necessarily our thing? Will it be a problem tonight? You know, these are things I just wonder about in a big game. And the team played the night before. The likelihood that they come out blazing that's just not what you usually see. So I'm curious to see how the Lakers are going to approach Kawhi Leonard. We know how much confidence he comes into every basketball game with. He's been playing some of his best basketball since he went down with his initial injury. And I have no doubt that he's going to be the claw tonight. And there's no coincidence that we've lost to this team 10 times in a row. He tends, when he's on the floor, to pick us apart. We usually don't win those battles. It just is what it is. I don't want to repeat performance of that tonight. I think we have the ability to defend him in ways that we never have. And I just don't want to see him go 11 for 15 tonight, like he's prone to do at times. On a big game like this, you might see him go that well. The way he's been shooting, he had 40 in the last game. I mean, this is just where we're at in regards to Kawhi. So with Paul not on the floor, it's going to be incumbent upon him to do more. And he's obviously more than capable. So I just understand that we're going up against a player that's arguably the best, simply arguably the best. And when you go up against him in a one-game situation, there's no guarantee he won't be the best player on the floor. In fact, you almost expect it. So this is when I look at LeBron James, I look at Anthony Davis to say, I need y'all to be more reliable than him. And, you know, in a game like this, he has shown us that he's a bit more cyborg. He's a bit more of a killer than those guys are. And that's where I'm challenging him to show me something. You know, this is not me disrespecting our superstars who've won a championship. This is just me pointing out what I've seen. Kawhi usually just ends up being the guy on the floor in nights like these when we've often gone against him. He's been the best player. He's been the one that's alpha. He's the one that usually takes over and walks out of there with the best stuff. So having seen so much of that lately, you do not want to see that in a game like tonight. With Laker pride on the line, with our 6th seed and 5th seed and all that stuff on the line, I do not want to see Kawhi Leonard be the best player on the floor tonight. I don't. And so I'm looking forward to having a lot more faith in our core as the game starts than I feel normally in a circumstance like this. And one thing that does make me feel good is the fact that we are going to have such an overload of talent on the floor tonight. We're definitely better than the Clippers tonight. Without Paul George, there's no question about that. If we're bringing back everybody, we're definitely better. So that should work in our favor. I think we do, for the first time in this process, have a better team than the Clippers. So we'll see how it goes. I didn't really get into my whole Clipper-Lakers spiel today. Yeah, it's weird. You would think I would get into that spiel. I've gotten into it a couple times when we played with the Clippers, but it comes when it needs to. It goes when it needs to. But at the end of the day, y'all know my story in regards to the Clippers. I've had so many rants over the years. At the end of the day, I just have had a hard time respecting their franchise for any reason at all. And they haven't given us a whole lot over the years. But one thing you do have to respect is that they've put together a pretty good roster right now. And that they have gained the respect of being a good organization over the last 10 years, even though they have yet to win a championship. With that being said, we've won a championship, since this process is gone. We're the ones who've proven that we can raise the trophy in this era. And so I want us to show that we can defeat them in the process of winning it again. That's what this means to me. This game means that we are setting a tone that we can beat a good Western Conference contender for all the marbles. That what we've been doing for the last month with our backs against the wall, so to speak, needing to win every game, and having won most of those games has paid off in regards to whether or not we can win these basketball games as a unit, and whether we can go into these battles as a unit. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I think our chemistry is a bit fragile, as I mentioned last night. I don't think everybody's necessarily a believer in one another like they need to be, but I think this is the type of game where if guys get it right, they can start to rekindle that belief once again. I think it's fragile, but I don't think it's shattered. You know what I mean? I just think that guys are poised to either believe or not believe, and so we need to believe in one another, and it starts with making good decisions. It starts making good decisions and not throwing possessions away. I saw far too many possessions thrown away last night, I felt like guys were not prepared. We didn't do homework on the team like we were supposed to last night. And that stuff trickles down to whether or not people believe in one another. Are you as serious as I am? Are you going to show up? Are you going to be prepared? Or are you going to throw possessions away? These are the things that I think people asking one another without probably even saying it. So hopefully the answer will be we'll get it together and do it together. And that's what it's about, man. The Clippers are a team that we want. Nothing more than to keep from beating us, if nothing else. We're not as passionate about beating them as they are about beating us. But nevertheless, on a day like this, we definitely are. We believe that the Clippers have put everything together basically to focus on the Lakers and beating the Lakers. And that's what I believe on this channel. Their whole team, the way it's structured, they looked at what we were putting together and said, we can stop it. And proceed to build in their team. So that's what they are. That's what I expect to see tonight. A team that was custom made to beat the Lakers that we were before we put together all these wings. And they haven't upgraded to make their team the updated version of the Laker killer they need to be. They did the opposite, in my opinion. They went and got older players. They got guys who aren't going to be retradable for more than what they acquired them for. They just did a lot of stuff that I think made them older. Now, bringing in Bones Highland, I think is a good piece, but he's a couple years away, and the timeline doesn't make as much sense anymore now that they've gotten older. So it's one of those situations where they're just kind of running out there with some of the parts that they have, and I just don't think it's better than what they had in the first half of the season. Letting go a guy like Luke Kennard significantly made their shooting worse, even though you're bringing in Eric Gordon. He's not as reliable to stay on the floor. You know what I mean? They're bringing in Plumlee, who I think is kind of facing father time to a degree. He's not the same guy he used to be, even though he's in good shape. He's not a free throw shooter. You bring in Russell Westbrook. He's not a free throw shooter. So you got significantly worse at the line just by making 2 trades. Now you got 2 players that you can't rely upon on a team full of good free throw shooters. So that's the weird thing about it. As I was telling you guys, we ain't got to worry about fouling anybody at the line because they're going to make all of them. I realized they got 2 of the worst free throw shooters in the league. When I said that, I was like, oh, Russell's on the team too. So that's the thing. It's like, I personally think the Clippers got significantly less dangerous. I'm not going to say they're a bad team or anything like that. They're not. They're good, but not nearly as good as they would have been if they didn't make the trades that they made. Now, they did need a backup center, so bringing in Plumlee was a plus. But I don't think that he ultimately helps the sum of what they are when you consider his age versus the age of everybody on the team. One person I definitely want to make sure I mention tonight is Norman Powell. I didn't mention him in the pregame video in the midst of being all upset about everything that the Lakers did last night. Norman Powell is somebody who can very easily go off for 25, 30 points tonight on top of everything else that the Clippers can throw at you. It's a big game. He's a big player. He can really play. And I expect for him to be a microwave tonight, trying to offset some of the stuff that we're going to throw at them with Austin Reeves, Dennis Schroeder, and all the other guys that are going to play well. It's going to be a Norman Powell's job to answer that, along with Terrence Mann and Batum. If Marcus Morris Sr. goes, if Gordon goes, although those guys are questionable, I ain't heard no updates on them. But this is the biggest game of anybody's career on both of these teams, in my opinion, the regular season, that is. So I don't expect most of the Clippers will miss this matchup. Just like I don't expect any of our guys. So, that's what I think, man. They've gotten older. We've gotten younger. And we should be a lot more capable of keeping up with those old men than we would have been if they would have kept the team they had, in my opinion. So that's what makes me feel better about us coming off a back-to-back and them having 3 days rest. They got some old guys who needed that rest. And we got some young guys who could probably handle that process. So that's a good thing. Our core is old. The rest of our dudes are 27 years old. They should be able to play in the back-to-back, especially since half of them, the numbers were a little, their minutes were a little skewed. You think about a guy like Vanderbilt. He only had 17 minutes last night. He should be more fresh than most. D'Lo should be fresh. Even though Bam was coming back from injury, he didn't play last night. He should be fresher. So, if we go to Lonnie, he's fresh. Like I said, Max and Devon never play, so they're fresh. And Winyan didn't get a lot of minutes yesterday, so he should be more fresh too. So those are players I'm hoping the coach call their number, just for the sake of what it is that we got going on. Letting our guys have a little bit of a break in regards to having playing time. I don't want to see Bron get 50 minutes tonight, 40 minutes, whatever it would be if this goes to overtime. I don't think that's necessary for us to compete tonight. I think we need to be balanced and understand that this isn't the last game of the season. This isn't game 7 of the finals, and we got a long path ahead. if we're going to do what we're supposed to do. So keeping our guys healthy and fresh is something that we need to prioritize very high right now, this time of season. So, yeah, man, what we got? 30 minutes left, something like that, 30 minutes before the game. Obviously, there's nothing more important than just making sure that Bron and AD stay healthy throughout these playoffs. So, if they do not go tonight, that's what's on my mind. I'm not expecting either one of them to play, but at the end of the day, their health is everything. It is everything. I am tasking them with being on that floor, but I'm also tasking them with not getting hurt for the rest of the season. So whatever's going to get us there, that's the way we need to handle it, I think, at the end of the day. And so, yeah, let's just play smart. Let's not try to dunk on Zubats tonight, LeBron. Let's 7'2", 270 guy dunk on a week. We don't need to be trying to do that twice in 2 nights. Him trying to dunk on Azubuike yesterday almost gave me a heart attack. And I just think that we're at a stage in LeBron's career where he's going to have to stop doing certain things that he's used to. Your body cannot do what it did 10 years ago. And we got to be okay with that. Everybody makes the adjustment. Everybody runs into father time. I know LeBron James does not want to look at himself as someone who's facing father time. But when it comes to stuff like that last night, I just think he's asking for danger when you try dunking on somebody your height and your size at this stage. It ain't the time for that, man. You gotta up and under that one. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta play it smart with your body, man. Because you got the foot, you've dealt with the growing, and it's 38 years, man. More minutes than anybody else, man. So at some point in time, we got to look at ourselves as human and older. And most importantly, look at what's ahead of us and see the responsibility we have to not get hurt. So that's what I got to say to both Bron, AD, and everybody else in Purple and Gold. So that will leave me all I want to say there, man. Go Lakers, go. Biggest game of the season, Lakers Clippers, BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.